Welcome to the show. My name is Larry Belfield. Good evening. My name is Larry Belfield, and this is the Belfield Show. Good evening. My name is Larry Belfield, and this is the Belfield Show, and I'd like to thank you for joining me. Today, we are in a week of reflection. We had a presidential candidate assassinated earlier this week, and it struck me to my heart because he only spoke truth. He stuck up for people that were that are basically ignored today, people that have been ignored for all of history, and people that have been traumatized and persecuted, not just Christians, not just Jews or Muslims, but also homosexuals, also transgender, also people that have radical views, people that want strong Christian values to return to this country. So how are you going to bring gay people and Christians together? Charlie Kirk did it. We were speaking together, we're talking together, and we were focusing on our issues. And that's the best way for America to be, to have an open forum and to discuss in the open, just like our rights suggest, that we have the right to peaceably assemble, the freedom of speech, the rights to protect ourselves, to form a militia, a well-regulated militia, so that we can protect ourselves. You see, these laws were created so that no government can override and be tyrannous to its people. Today you think tyranny is taking place because of mass immigration, ICE raids, wars in Iraq, wars in not Afghanistan, but wars in Ukraine. Today we have lots of issues, like always. And we have people that are willing to stand up and try to discuss those issues. And right now, I want to thank each and every individual that's ever stood up on a Charlie Kirk show. I know it was scary and it's frustrating to get in front of the people and try to speak your mind on laws and on questions like abortion, where many women get abortions, but they still have this stigma, this look that, oh, you must be evil because you don't want to have children. You're killing babies because you don't want to have kids. And it's hard for them to articulate in a platform where the political and the political atmosphere and the social atmosphere is at its highest. It's okay to talk about it at a bar. It's okay to talk about it at school with your friends. But it's hard to talk about things like this on a political scale. But that's the key to America. We have laws set in place to that we are supposed to be concerned about these areas of our lives. We're supposed to be concerned about these topics, and we're supposed to do something about them. We're supposed to discuss them in the open so that we can make plans for change and we can instill in the hearts of the people a progressive way to act and to be towards these individuals. We even extend open arms and we extend policies of friendship to our enemies before we declare war, before we decide to strike out in anger or retaliate. We try to become friends and allies first, even with the worst individuals. This is because that is the foundation of America, is to put God first. And what he says is that people are first. That's why our Constitution says we the people. Because we believe that we are one people, and what we do and act is for the greater good of us all. Now, we have been in a lot of tyrannous situations with kings and politicians and leaders and lawmen have taken over, and they've done a lot of damage to our world, just like in this same situation we have with Charlie Kirk. Most people thought that he was the evil one. And he was inciting panic, inciting injustice, inciting people to go, inciting Trump to go and do these ICE raids. But Trump is the ultimate factor in making these decisions. Even though we agree with him, even though some people understand what he's doing, even though people care, it's ultimately up to him. Okay, he makes those decisions. So I believe it's good that he's listening. But being a politician is much harder than one thinks. You don't just make decisions. You actually have to come to the table and work with a lot of people and do a lot of paperwork and a lot of talking and a lot of negotiating. But that's what Trump is good at. But that's what it takes. It takes a lot of understanding people and listening to people and hearing what they have to say. And that's what Charlie Kirk did. So what I'm going to do today is actually, which is something funny because, I'm so passionate about Charlie Kirk, but I loved him for a different reason. I loved him because I disagreed with him. Every argument he said, every word he said, every political view he had was pretty much, I had the opposite view. But I could see his point of view, and it actually made me think deeper on my point of view. And it made me actually study what I wanted to say. So tonight, on the Charlie Kirk Show, we will be defuting and rebuttaling, and actually we're going to go against everything he said, everything he went against. We're actually going to politically break down his arguments and go against them, because that's what he wanted. He loved having the challenge of him having to fight for what he believed in. Ask me the questions. Okay. Ask me the tough questions. Ask me the hard questions so that we can get down to this and come up with solutions together. We're going to start off with Kamala Harris. A popular question of Charlie Kirk's was, name an accomplishment that Kamala Harris has done. Most rumors that I've heard was that she sentenced a man to jail who was actually innocent. Funny. Very funny, because I actually did my research and I went to look up some of the accomplishments that Kamala Harris had. And actually, we're going to go through 10 of them right now. Do you know that she's been a U.S. Senator ever since before 2010? Okay, in 2012, Kamala Harris helped negotiate $25 billion settlement with major banks over foreclosing abuse, providing relief to California homeowners. Her initial criminal justice reforms. She launched a Back on Track program which focused on job training and education for low-level offenders to reduce recidivism. Enhancing digital privacy protections. Harris secured agreements with technology companies like Apple, Google, to ensure that mobile apps disclosed how they share and use your data. Co-sponsoring criminal justice reform. She was a co-sponsor of the bipartisan First Step Act, which addressed mass incarceration by reforming mandatory minimum sentence laws. Changing racial justice and civil rights. Harris advocates for police reform and co-sponsors the Justice and Policing Act following the death of George Floyd. Now, I was going to read all of these, but you can see it's evidently clear that she has changed great policy in America on how we view black individuals. Now, I'm not saying everyone is innocent and that we just need to let everyone go. But as you can see, she knows what needs to be done. By implementing programs where we are allowing them to go to work, allowing them to educate, and allowing them to reduce their sentences by good and hard work. Those were the type of programs that she was implementing. Not incarcerating black men unfairly, but actually making a path to their freedom. This is the exact opposite of what everyone else was saying. How she's done nothing, she does nothing, she does nothing, she is nothing, and she has contributed nothing to our society. When in fact, this is the only way to make contributions to our society. And when we think of men like Donald Trump, where his father had millions of dollars at his disposal, he got 14 or 15 million dollars to start off his business empire. And with that, he created an empire. So Donald Trump has lots of power and he has lots of influence because of his parents and upbringing have gave him a pathway, and it has given him the money to basically take care of a lot of things financially. So he was able to get buildings built. He was able to get real estate deals much faster because of his father and his connections and how successful he was. But that doesn't discount what Donald Trump has done for the country. But you see that he has entertained us far more than Kamala Harris. What Kamala Harris has done is not entertaining. We're not going to remember it. It's not going to last long in our minds, but it will last for a very long time in our system. It changes the way we think about people. It changes the way we feel about people, just like Charlie Kirk did. Okay? Even though his platform probably did make people feel anxious and mad and disgusted sometimes, maybe with themselves. But that would have changed. With a platform like this and the people coming together, we would have eventually been able to talk and speak to one another with grace and peace and with reason. Okay. Now, pardon me, we'll be able to edit past all this. All right. Sex changes. The LGBT community has been under fire. One of the chief topics that Charlie Kirk liked to talk about was men and women and their biological stance and how they are born, how they're made, and is it possible to become either or to interchange. Now, I was born in the 90s, so I don't know if you guys understand the nip tuck days, where doctors, and the reason healthcare got so expensive because doctors were leaving the medical field because they were only making $60,000 to $70,000 a year. The good doctors were making more, but there was a real hierarchy, and you were doing most of your services on sick people. Once it became legal to just install breast and to do nose jobs, and once they learned how to remove scarring in a way, and they created plastic surgery to where they could remove scars, people started getting surgery like crazy. We found out that it was highly unethical. They were taking 16, 17, 18-year-old women, taking out their breasts. They had perfectly healthy and fine breasts. They were removing their breasts and giving these fake silicone implants to suit their ideation of what men thought they really wanted of them. So there was a lot of women that were getting breast implants, that were getting liposuction, that were getting nose jobs because they wanted to be more beautiful, and they wanted to be, they wanted to be allured, and they wanted to be more sexy. But what happened was it became unethical when people like in Mexico, they started doing liposuction with chemicals that shouldn't be used in the body. And they started, doing liposuction with vacuum hoses and stuff that you would find in hardware stores. And it became such a degraded industry to where the government stepped in and tried to discourage women from getting some of these Botoxes and some of these liposuction so much because it became a very great health risk. Now, today we have a situation where they have learned, they did a surgery where someone had lost their genitalia and they were able to reattach it. And then they had someone who had an accident and they were able to transform them from a woman to a man. And since then, doctors and the profession tried to perfect this task. They said, well, if we can help people out in this way, this would be great if we could fix this, because this was a real medical issue. It's really for farmers and for policemen, people that work around violence, people that work around big equipment. They get accidents like that. They fall from high places. They get in fights. They get accidents where genitalia can get mangled, it can get hurt, and they know that if we could actually do this surgery properly, we could save a lot of people's lives, we could help a lot of people, and it would do a lot of good. But now, with the advent of being able to have and do that surgery, people have been doing it off book. People have been selling that service without it being fully basically vetted and checked out. The hospitals don't pay for it because it's not really a medical problem. See, first, the doctors take oaths to do no harm. So if you're going to do something to the body and it instantly makes it sick or makes it hurt, that's you doing harm. So as a doctor, you're not allowed to do anything that could possibly injure or somebody's life. So you're going to take a perfectly healthy body and take a knife and start cutting into it and putting in these foreign objects, so that outside, from my perspective, a person that has nothing to do with that body can see the body and be allured by the body and want that body. But the problem is, you made the body unhealthy by putting these things in it that don't exist, by creating pathways that aren't supposed to be there. You've artificially made you made the person feel that they've achieved something that's unachievable. I was a man, now I can be a woman. That's something that, a lot of people would covet. It's something that's never been done. So just having it, being able to do it, a lot of people coveted and wanted to do it. Now that they're selling it off the shelves, it's becoming a real problem because people are getting sick, people are getting confused, and you have a lot of children that go through it and have lots of regret because they didn't fully understand what was taking place, what was going on. And what I'm seeing is that this is the same thing I read in the business book about alcohol. After Prohibition in the late 50s, we passed a law saying that alcohol can be legal and it's okay to drink in America again. However, you had company after company after company making alcohol and now advertising it on TV. See, this is what the people didn't want. We didn't want to peddle it to our children to where they're walking home from school, they're going to class, or they're going to church, and all of a sudden they see beer commercial after beer commercial after beer commercial, and then it makes it seem that it's okay, even though for some families it's not okay. Some people can't drink. It brings them down into depression and to addictive tendencies, and they really like to stay away from alcohol. But to promote it to where anyone can get it at any time, anywhere, and there's no problem with it. You shouldn't have any negative connotation. Everybody does it and it's all good. That's what the advertisement tells you. That's what the doctor tells you. That's what the beer salesman tells you. Not the doctor, but the beer salesman tells you that. But the doctor is going to tell you that too much beer drinking is bad for your liver. You should do it once in a while. A glass of wine or a glass of beer on the weekend is fine, but too much every day is very detrimental and bad for your health. So now, that's what doctors used to do. The Surgeon General will come up and tell you everything wrong and everything bad with something. They would tell you all the risk that you're taking and how that even though there's risk, we're going to try to make sure that the benefits outweigh the risk. You're going to be cancer-free. We're going to replace your leg. We're going to fix your lung. Okay? There's a risk in going in, but at the end, you're going to have a better, stronger body. Now with nip tuck surgery, with these types of surgeries, you're trying to tell the customer that it's all good already. You're trying to tell the customer that it's the best thing that you can do. Before anything, you're advertising this surgery like this is great. If you want to be, man, you should just go on and do it because it's going to make you be the best you. But you're never, ever telling them the risk. See, when you do surgery and you go into the body, you never advertise these things. You tell them, hey, we have to go in for your cancer. We have to amputate the leg. We have to give you these medicines for your breathing. Okay? Now, here are the risks. So the doctor would ultimately make the choice that what we have to do. And then he's going to tell you the risk. Now with selling surgery, you have a problem. Doctors aren't telling you the risk until the last minute. They're not giving you the situations of where it fails or how it could fail or where the problem could be until you're in the office. And here's the rub. You spend so much time thinking about it. You spend so much time focusing on it. You spend so much time worrying about it and planning it and thinking and worrying, and all of a sudden when you go to the doctor, you're not going to see, you're actually going to go do it. You've already made the decision. You're not going to talk to the doctor about the problems, the situations, or the stigmas of doing it. You made it up in your head that this is what you're going to do, and no one can tell you any different. This is who you are, and you're done. And you basically ignore the doctor's warning about the downfalls of committing this surgery. So first, let's answer the question: can a man be a woman, and can a woman be a man? If you ask me, the answer is definitely no. You cannot switch. Now, what you're using to say we can is the abilities of doctors, the abilities of men. These men say, I have the ability to take you, cut you up, change your organ from male to female. But it all depends on that doctor and his skill. There is no clear way. We know what to connect, how to connect it, but nobody's done the surgery enough to say it's 100% guaranteed to be functional and work. First of all, they can't change your reproductive organs. They can change your penis and your vagina. Those are the sex organs that are attached to the outside body. But what those two organs do is transfer the semen from one body to another. See, the egg doesn't transfer from one body to another, only the semen does. So when you transfer your organ over, you're transferring what is taking place. So you're still shooting out semen. You're not accepting eggs, or you're not accepting semen. So the doctors can't do that. But what they can do is change your genitalia, what it looks like. So what's going on here is people think that, oh, I can be a woman because they can take your penis and shape it like a vagina. But you can't fully be a woman. Let's be clear about that. You're not really going to understand that until you get into the doctor's office. And he says, that's not how it works. What this really is gender replacement. Not really specifically your reproductive replacement, but because both genders have reproductive organs. So you'll be able to reproduce, just not in the same way. Okay? So that's why they're soft in their gender, and they tiptoe around the word reproduction. Because you still can have a baby, you're just not going to give birth to the baby. Okay? Your wife is still going to have to do that. So they tell you that right before they give you the surgery. Now let me tell you some other things they're going to tell you right before they give you the surgery at the meeting with the doctor. Okay? Hormone replacement therapy involves significant risk. Though they can be managed, okay, but you have to understand you're risking your health. Cardiovascular complications. Okay, for trans feminine individuals, estrogen use can increase the risk of blood clots, stroke, heart attack, and high blood pressure. These risks are elevated in those who smoke or are over 50. For trans masculine individuals, testosterone can increase the risk of cardiovascular issues, high blood pressure, and unhealthy cholesterol levels. Okay, listen. Fertility loss. Both masculine and feminine and feminizing HRT can cause permanent or long-term infertility. Patients are advised to consider fertility preservation before their surgery, like egg or sperm freezing before beginning the treatment. Your cancer risk. Trans feminine individuals on estrogen have a higher risk of breast cancer compared to cisgender men, though the risk may remain lower than for cisgender women. They also have a risk of prostate cancer since their prostate is not removed. So men will be getting hit with a double whammy. Not only are you susceptible to prostate cancer as a man, you're now making yourself susceptible to breast cancer. For transmasculine individuals, more research is needed to understand the potential risk to your ovarian and your uterine cancer. But ongoing screening is recommended if these organs are not removed. Okay, so they want you to remove them. And if you don't, you have to get extra cancer screenings, because your masculine chemicals and your feminine parts will disrupt each other. Okay, and they're going to cause complications. It does it all the time. They're just saying it in a ginger way so that you don't blame them. Like, they'll be like, I told you that could happen. Okay, it's written like a lawyer would write it, and it just touches on the subject. It doesn't really give you a full description of what would happen. It's written down in their paperwork, but you never really read that. Okay, weight and metabolism changes. Both of HRT can cause weight gain and changes in metabolism, which can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, okay, and high cholesterol. You don't think those two diseases are very strong, but imagine not having diabetes and all of a sudden you get a sex change and now you have diabetes. And it's called the silent killer. We're so used to and ingrained with the diabetes that you don't understand the risk, and you don't understand what people go through to stave off diabetes. Insulin shots every day, managing what you eat. You can no longer eat bread, sugar, most fruits. Okay, so imagine you're just getting off a sex change surgery and your body's very depleted of energy and you need lots of energy. Now you go to eat orange and juice and then you go into a coma. Okay, now danger of, and the mental and emotional side effects. Okay, I want you to be apprised of this and understand that there's great risk involved with you trying to do this surgery. Okay, some individuals report mood swings, irritability, or increased emotional sensitivity during hormone therapy, while many experience improved mental health from transitioning. Some studies indicate potentially higher risk of depression and anxiety post-surgery compared to those with gender dysphoria. Why? They have gender dysphoria, but they don't have surgery. So some people, wish and fantasize about switching roles, but they never do it. They have depression, they have anxiety, but the people that have sex changes actually end up being more depressed, more anxiety, more irritable. Okay? Your hormones are changing, you don't understand how it's working. Okay? The dangers of gender-affirming surgeries. Okay? Surgical procedures carry risk inherent to any major surgery, as well as complications specific to the type of reconstruction. Now you understand, I've got a long list here of things that can go wrong. And we can talk all day and night, but what is really bothering me about the sex change surgery is that whether or not you've actually been able to successfully change someone's sex organ and it actually working has still been a mystery to me. Some people say they've done it, but really there hasn't been enough to really understand and be able to talk to them, or to really get someone on camera, or enough people like Charlie Kirk was doing, to get enough people to come out to say, I'm satisfied with my surgery. I'm happy with my surgery. I'm happy with my mate. I had a good time. There's not enough people saying that. What we're really getting is a lot of kids saying that they made the biggest mistake of their lives. Right in the middle, in the height of their sexual emotion, where they really want to go at it and you really want to make love. And then you have this surgery and now all your sex drive is gone. You can't even feel, you used to masturbate every day and now you can't even feel yourself. It's numb, it's in pain, it hurts. You haven't had any pleasure at all for months and years. And then by the time it settles down and it feels right and you can actually maybe use it, it's years gone by. You missed the prime of your life. You ruin the way your body produces children, so you might not be able to have them. And what's happening is a lot of regret because they didn't know the full risk of what they were taking. So what we're hearing is a lot of people in pain and a lot of people hurt because these doctors don't know what they're doing. These doctors don't, this hasn't been perfected. These are a couple of doctors that had probably got some world fame because they worked on some famous people. And they got a couple of dollars and they were able to advertise that, I can just do this, the snap of my finger. And then they go cutting and slicing you up. And they say, I did it right. Maybe, I'm sorry, but you're one of the cases where it's not going to take and hold like it should as fast as it's supposed to be. And that is, as you can tell, is BS. when they know they cut your organs, they put knives through your nerves and they slice pieces open, then they sewed it back together. Now they're giving you medication to where you don't feel the pain, and hopefully your body can heal. Now, if that isn't stealing and being conniving and being evil, I mean, I don't know what is. I understand that people really want this, and I believe that's why they're really going after it and doing it in such a way where it hurts so many people rather than heals people. So I don't believe that this surgery is even capable yet of creating a proper sex organ that's going to be half as efficient as your natural body. So what I'm saying is, getting a sex change surgery because you feel that you want to change your sex, that's okay. But actually having it completed and done is almost next to impossible these days. Cutting, slicing, and replacing is not actually getting the job done. I can cut my arm off and reattach a new arm. It's going to take years, okay, for me to be able to even use that arm if it works, okay? So you're going to take my arm and fold it inside out and turn it into a screwdriver. Okay, all right, so I'll get lots of functionality out of that screwdriver, but what kind of pain and suffering will I go through when I could have just grabbed a screwdriver and used a regular one with my hand? Okay, so we see that you want to have sex with a sexual partner. You want to be filled up this way. You want to be turned that way, but you have to understand that in the height of your ecstasy is when you're feeling it. When you're at your height of your sexual emotion and arousal is when you're feeling it. But when you do this surgery, it removes your sexual arousal for years. So you won't even be feeling that way or thinking that way for years. You'll be in pain and suffering for years until you're able to walk around and function like normal, and then you can move on with your life. But as you can see, what you caused yourself and what you've done, like you'll be thinking, I should have just stayed the same and been gay, right? So I don't believe that the doctors have full control of this surgery is what. And there are a lot of people that really yearn and really want for it, and they're preying on you. And they're taking advantage of you like they did with these 16-year-old girls in their breasts. Because you'll pay through the nose for it, and there's no repercussion. Oh, I'm sorry, it just didn't work out. Oh, your skin tightened up. Oh, we can do another surgery to do this and to that. And sometimes they mess you up on purpose, so you have to keep coming back and keep coming back. So you're in a position where you have to trust a man, okay, in order to make it work. It's like my car. My car is only going to be as good as the mechanic that works on it. Okay, so your body is not the same surgery like a cold medicine or a flu vaccine, where it should work relatively the same for everyone. Like cancer removal, it should work relatively the same for everyone. Sex organ change, they say, but they're using 50 years of medical science, like removing tonsils and removing bullets and fixing broken bones, and they're using that research to say that, oh, well, maybe we can cut your penis off and put it on a vagina, and we have that research to try to support this research, when this research has never been done. We've never replaced genitalia before in history. This is the first time they've ever been doing it, and if you want to be the guinea pig, that's what you're going to be. You're going to waste all your money and time to be someone's guinea pig. So that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm scared about. Now, and that's my view on it, is that I don't believe that doctors know what they're doing quite yet to be able to perform this with relative success, at least consistent success. It's still consistent tragedy. It's still a trial and error. Actually, I kind of thank you for going through this so that they can learn truly how to get it done. And hopefully with you, they'll be able to perfect something like being able to fix or repair genitalia. That'll be very amazing for doctors to be able to do. Now, our next subject is one that Charlie very touched on, is abortion. Charlie doesn't. They took away Roe v. Wade because it was created during civil rights, and if you read the newspapers and you read all of the transcripts and you read the voting records, it felt like they rushed it in and they just got it voted on their own accord. Even though many people fought like tooth and nail to have some sort of reproductive control over themselves. Once it was available, women flocked. But however, it quickly became a racist and a very horrible weapon against the black community. Once they legalized abortions in America, they sterilized 10,000 black women, went to go get an abortion, and they sterilized them so they could no longer have any more children. So they went to go and just remove that child, and what happened is they ended up being in a way where they couldn't have any kids at all. So this is the same thing that you're doing with the new sex change surgery. You think it's a accurate science, you think it's good, but really what they have an ulterior motive. They have an ulterior plan. When you let the government into your womb, it's not going to be good. As we can see through these records, the story of God coming into our world is roughly about the time of Pharaoh, when he decided to kill all the boy children of the Israelites. And this wasn't just one instance. People think that that was it. As we read, we realize that this is a common practice all the way through the time of Jesus, even up to the time of the Muslims. We can say that they were still sacrificing black men, young black men, in droves. We just come through and it's your time. You got too many, and we're going to kill them. And that's what they would do. Too many black men is a danger. That's what they think. Too many black men is a problem. And they extinguished us for thousands of years as children. They would just come, kill the baby, and that was it. It's your day. Okay, so every few years, a decade or so, they go, okay, that's how they do in Africa with apartheid, where every few years they just come and just start eating and killing everybody up. These are the remnants of those actions. We are still scarred with these terrible acts of man. We still have a problem. They still attack the children. They say that's the fastest way to reduce the number of the enemy. So with every government function added in, we've had less family, less children, less jobs, less work, less hope. So as we started off and we were talking about slavery times, we realized that slavery is much more than plantations. Plantations is more like salvation. Having your name recorded down, having clothing, having food, having a proper name, having documentation on you is nothing like what was taking place, where they had thousands of men in chains doing work to death without food, without being able to speak. Women killing their own children so that they won't have to suffer through this life. Okay? Onset racism, where they humiliate and degrade our people. Okay? This is all connected to abortion. They found an easy, quick way. Oh, now women will give their child up. And we'll promote that. So here's my problem with abortion. That if a woman that doesn't want to have kids, she's decided in her heart, for me, you have to be older than 21 to make a decision that I don't want no kids at all. Okay, with girls having sex at 16 and they're so horny, the consequence to having sex so young is you're going to get pregnant. Okay? And that's the point of sex. It's not to be pleasured and it's not to have fun, but it's to have a child. So what's happening now is they have Planned Parenthood in a way where that anyone, anywhere, can just go get an abortion. Now, I don't want to have my daughter, 16, 17, 18, gets a boyfriend or falls in love, and they get pregnant by accident. And I would kill myself if one of her options were abortion. Why do you think you can go and have an abortion? Because you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want your parents to find out. You don't want to have the burden. Now, you're 24, you're 25, okay, you're 26, and you had a string of men that haven't played out. You had hopes to meet your Prince Charming, and you just had, people that just wanted sluts and people that just wanted to have sex, and then they didn't work out. And now you refuse to ever have children. Okay, I've lived my life. I went out there and I tried, and it's not suiting for me. I just don't feel right to have kids. See, I feel that it's 100% important for a woman to have control over her body, and to have this service is a good thing. But to peddle it like it's a McDonald's cheeseburger, where you can go on any corner in any street in America and just get one, without your father's consent, without your parents' consent, without anybody knowing about it, you can just go and kill your baby. And now they put in wordage and they put in phrases to where you're not killing a baby. Oh, you're just plan B. You're just phasing it out. When the horrific procedure of abortion is very clear that what they're doing is they're taking some sort of device and they're mashing the baby into pieces. Like literally mashing it. So I don't expect any woman to be able to be any kind of gentle, soft, compassionate, loving, loyal after they've had this surgery. They go in there thinking it's an abortion. It's what everyone does when they have this problem, and I'm just going to go ahead and just do it because I can't, I don't want to go through what I have to go through with this. And they realize the pain and the suffering and the shame of having a child ripped out of your womb. See, they had it made up in their minds before they went, and the doctor wasn't going to deter them. Their circumstances, their problems, their situations, everything led to this, and nothing is going to deter you. Now I'm here. So what the doctor had to say about all the bad risks that you're taking doesn't even come into play. Only thing that comes into play is what you're going through, and not what your body is going through. Your body is overjoyed. Your body is happy. Your body wants this. This is what your body is built for. Your mind doesn't. You see? Because the heart is willing, but the flesh is weak. So I want you to understand that I don't hate abortions, and I don't hate people that get abortions. But what I do hate is the fact that children have access to them. I believe this is an adult thing. I believe this is a medical thing. If you have a problem, if you have a situation where you've been raped or you've been abused, or you just downright don't want to have it. But don't be 16 and be in love and have sex and have a wonderful relationship and then get pregnant and say, oh no, this is the worst thing that could happen. We need to get an abortion. That hurts my heart. You should be happy and overjoyed to have your child. Especially your first few. If you can't get there, then you have another issue. Okay? Something else is going on that you need to be concerned about. If you can't afford children, if you don't think you'll be a good parent, there's plenty of reasons. But being 16 shouldn't be one of the reasons you get an abortion. Being 19, being too young is not a reason to get an abortion. Being not ready is not a reason to get an abortion. Being scared is not a reason to get an abortion. Being confused, being bewildered, being left behind, being abandoned, okay, that's not a reason to get an abortion. Okay, that's not a reason to stop bringing a life into this world. I want you to think hard. I want you to think long and focus on what could be the possibilities of that one person. It could be Charlie Kirk, someone that unites and brings the people together, so much so that they want to hurt each other. But together, nonetheless, we have issues and we have things to talk about. That's what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. Get these subjects on the table. I'm afraid for you that you're being manipulated into thinking that this is the best course of action. When you need to think for yourself is what I want you to do. And to say, if you could think for yourself and you did it for your own reasons, you would be clear on your reasonings. You'd be clear on your decisions, and you'd be able to speak those forth. But it takes time to focus on them and to think on them and to write it out sometimes. Okay. Finally, we come to and re-record. Okay. I'll try to leave as little gap in as possible. Okay, so last and final is immigration. One of my chief topics. Immigration is a very sensitive topic in the country today. However, in California, it is a sanctuary state where immigration has been the chief topic for decades. If you come down to my town of San Jose, California, it doesn't matter what exit you get off of. It doesn't matter what street you go down. And it doesn't matter what block you turn on, because there is a business there owned by an individual. Even most of the gas stations are owned by individuals. Businesses thriving. You'll see people laughing. You'll see people going to work. You'll see people striving to become better in their lives, whether they're immigrant or they're citizens. Now, what we're missing is, how did we get this way? So positive, such a strong, vibrant city. San Jose, California was voted the number 3 place, was the number 1 place in the country to start a business in like 2010. And it was the number 3 top city in the United States. Okay, so you had New York, LA, and then you had San Jose right after as one of the highest grossing cities, one of the biggest sanctuary cities in the state. So what I'm seeing today is a lot of mass deportations, a lot of mass ICE agents hunting down people at their work, okay? And you have a lot of underly sensitive politicians that are trying to fix the issue, but they don't really have the tooth on how to address leaving our immigrants alone, because we see them as citizens. Just the federal government doesn't see them as citizens, okay? So here's the situation. What you see behind me, as I showed you previous seasons, is a picture of the border wall in 1925, okay? As you can see, there is no wall. What's here is a light fence to keep cattle from going back and forth. Now, in 1925, the main mode of transportation was horse and buggy, okay? These horses dragged you around everywhere you went, okay? In 1901, everyone had up to probably a minimum of 5 horses, okay? They had them like cats. If you had a farm, you have 5 or 6 horses, okay? You can't do nothing with 2 horses. They'd be too tired to plow and drive you around and pull stuff and do all the things that horses do, grind mills, stones, and things like that. So what happens is, this wall has changed over time. Not because of immigration, not because of people that are breaking the law, not because of people that hate each other, not because immigrants are trying to take over our country. The reason there's been a difference and a change in this wall is because of technology. In 1925, the only way to get anywhere was by the legs of this horse. We're moving at horse speed, okay? First of all, we're moving at the speed of a horse. Anything that's worth moving with you, if you're trying to move a long distance, you're going to take it in one of these wagons, okay? And this is your whole house. These wagons actually turn into little houses. You take them apart, and then you can build yourself a little cottage with the actual lumber that's in this wagon. So this wagon is basically a homestead in one box, okay? So when 1925, the main business was farming, okay? We need food, and we didn't have preservatives, so we didn't have canned food like that. You had probably canned beans and canned meat, I think, that came along. I'm not sure the date, I have to look up the date, but what really took place is fresh fruits and vegetables is what we had, and fresh meat. Okay, that's pretty much only thing that was available, or things that are fresh. So carrots, potatoes, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, those are the things that you'd be able to stockpile upon and preserve for years at a time. Okay, they pickled them, they put them in jars, they put them in water, they put them in soups and salads, they salted it down. They knew how to preserve things in a way where we don't preserve nothing. Everything comes pre-preserved for us at the store. So 1925, horseback, horse and buggy, and if you came up in here to farm, what we needed here, after there was a mass exiting of the black community, where over 100 million black men left for Brazil. This is after we were declared free on Juneteenth, when slavery was ended. Over 100 million black men left America, and they left a giant vacuum. And what we needed was workers. We needed people to help fix and maintain our farms. That was a dust bowl. So what happened is we started inviting workers from all over to come. Ireland, even Alaska and Australia, people were invited. But mainly people from Mexico came up and started to help farm these lands. But there was a big problem. They owned their own homes. They had their own land. They didn't really want to live here, but they wanted that money. So what they would do was travel. For a couple of years, they would come up north, make some money, farming and sharecropping, and then they would go back down south and then work there for a couple of seasons. Okay? This is called the migrant worker. This has been going on since before slavery ended. So migrant workers always came up to come help out work, and then they go back down and when the seasons change, or if they stay for a few years. So this gate here was meant to hold cattle back. Okay, and at first there was no gate. It's just this is where Mexico and the United States meet. There is nothing to divide. Now, with the advent of technology, the car, the plane, the train, okay, these are things that were all made less than 100 years ago. With these technologies, we're able to move more people faster and quicker than ever before. When 1925, we're moving at horse speed. At 2025, the average man can go over 125 miles an hour by himself. No horse, nothing drawn. With mechanical power, we can move 1 million people in one day. In 1925, 1935, 1945, 1955, we had rules set in place where anybody can come up and work. Just walk on in. But once you had the bus and you had the advent of carriages and caravans, and they showed up by the thousands, man, it was good to help out, but now we have a bigger problem. You got 1,000 workers here. They're whipping this thing into shape, and you're going to town. And then at the end of the season, they're gone. And then the next season, you don't have the same crew. The next season after that, it's people that don't know what they're doing. It's a whole bunch more people, but these guys are sloppy. And I wish I had my old crew. And you start paying more, and you start paying a premium, and then what you want is people to stick around. So now what you have is people getting paid incentive to stay. Okay? So that's what was going on. With the last advent, it's this system of come on in, come on work, now stay. Okay? So now we had a system in these 90s. Come on in, come work, now stay. But now we have a problem. 30 million people showed up within 5 or 6 years. Now we have a situation where we only had 2 or 3 million jobs to go, and 20 million people showed up, and wow, how do we take care of this? And this is the situation. In my town of San Jose, we had a situation in the early 90s with gang violence. They felt that their numbers were strong enough to outtake any force. They said, we have enough numbers that they can't hurt us. They would take 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 people and rob a store, rob a bank, go into somebody's house and kill someone. And they thought, since we have that high number, no one is ever going to do anything. I myself called the police on a group of gang members that broke into someone's house and killed someone. It was 30 of them. And I'm sorry to say that they were all gang members, and they were Hispanic, but 10 years before, all the gang members were black. the problem is, 10 years before, all the gang members killed each other. So all the black people died and Mexican people moved in, but the gang violence stayed. Somehow the gangs kept going, and the gang violence got so bad to where they were killing each other into the street, murdering fathers, picking up their children from school. And what we set in place was a precedent like no other. We said that if you're in a gang, if you're dressed as a gang, if you look like a gang, if you act like a gang, we have to arrest you, because they just murdered someone last night. A group of 30 men walked into a house and murdered somebody. Now today, you have 250 groups just sitting around in a corner, smoking, drinking, getting high, and somebody is going to die tonight. So, in the late 90s, it didn't matter what color you were wearing, red, blue, green, black, or white. At the end of the day, you were all wearing orange. Handcuffed together, side by side, hand in hand. Red rag cuffed to blue. Black rag cuffed to white rag. It didn't matter what rag you had, you were in jail. Because the violence went too crazy. Because the execution of our system was underway. Okay? So I know what you're seeing now in the country with all of the ICE raids and all of the politicians being angry. I'm sorry, but for San Jose, this is nothing new to me. We have lots of immigrants, lots of people that are from Mexico that live and work there every day without problem, because we took a strong stance on the gang violence. We don't allow gangs. We don't negotiate with terrorism. We don't negotiate with terrorists. What happened was, in New York, they had a law where they were stopping and frisking people because you look like you were gang affiliated, you look like you were doing violence, so we're going to stop and make sure you don't have guns or drugs on you. In California, you just went to jail. We're going to arrest you. Everyone that looks like you, everyone that I know is racist, but everyone that's wearing a red rag is going to jail right now. We're going to interview everybody. We're going to see where you were. We're going to check your testimony, and we're going to check your background, and we're going to make sure we know where you were last night. Okay? And if you weren't a part of any of that stuff, you can go home and go free. But if you got priors, if you got situations, if you were fighting a cop last night, oh, I know him, oh, yeah, and that guy, oh, you're in trouble. That's the problem. See, you're coming in to the station tonight, and we're going to have a talk. The person looking like you, acting like you, being like you, committed a violent act. And now we need to talk. We're just going to talk. But what happens is, doing that really, gets them to incite to be who they really are. Okay, if you're a gangster, you're a gangster, and when it's time to come get you, you're going to do gangster stuff. And so what happens is, if you behave and you said, oh, okay, I won't wear red flags no more, or do that anymore, you can't do that. Because you're so ingrained in evil to where that you have to be right and you have to be correct. And we can't even tell you to take off your rag. We can't even tell you to pull your pants up. We can't even tell you to clean up your language. We can't tell you to apologize. We can't tell you to stop killing people. We can't tell you to stop breaking and entering. We can't even tell you to stop stealing from people. If a judge asked you why you stole from him, why did you steal? Well, fuck you, judge. I don't give a shit. You're a piece of shit. Motherfucking judge, I don't care. That's exactly how you would speak. Okay? That's evil that has taken you over, son. Just like what's happening with this Charlie Kirk case. Evil is taking you over, and your only course of action is to commit acts of violence. So when someone comes at you with reason, and he comes at you with his educated point of view, and you want to commit violence, well, you've done everything you need to do to activate us. We don't do terrorism here. We're not racist nor discriminatory. Unless you're racist and you're discriminatory. We're racist toward racists and discriminators. Okay, so we're racist against evil here, and it's playing out in your country. This is normal to me. We're going to raid you, and we're going to figure it out. I have a presentation that's coming up later on the raids of Costco, where Costco was actually hired a employment service, and that employment service was ran by the cartel. And the cartel was paying the workers one wage, stealing most of the money, and charging Costco another wage. So it seemed like all temp agencies are doing that, but really they had taken over, and they had gone rampant to where the worker couldn't say anything. They couldn't complain about their benefits. They couldn't complain about their wages. They couldn't complain. They were forced to work that way. And it made me realize, what is slavery? You're sitting here buying your groceries, looking at this checkout girl thinking she's having a good time, realizing she's in captivity. But later in my presentation, you realize that Costco takes a strong stance. They are for the employee. I work for them, and I got fired for a 6-cent soda. I drank a soda on the job, and they fired me for that. So you stealing from Costco, infiltrating their business like this, messing with their employees and how much they get paid, you're in for a big treat, buddy. You're in for something right now that you're not going to believe. That's what you're seeing. You mess with the wrong people. You mess with the grandfathers and the grandmothers and the holy people of this place. People that strive to make it strong and strive to make it good. You're messing up the fabric of our society with your crime. Okay? With your hatred, with your murderous ways. Even Mexican immigrants are upset because you're ruining their good ride. Like, we have it good here. We're going to become citizens and we're going to be strong. They accept us. We don't accept the violence. You're being gangs again. And you're being murderous again. And you're being evil again. And what's happening is the truth is happening to you. They're going to fight back. We're not going to sit and let you enact terror and just go and have lunch the next day. That's not how it works. You're in for the fight of your life, trying to ruin these people. We don't play games, and we don't do the BS when it comes to the lives and the safety of our people. That's paramount, the people. And that's what it says on the Constitution. And that's what I believe, that immigration is being attacked by violent immigrators. They think that they control things and that they're in the right and that they can do whatever they want. But the hard-working individual that wants to come up in here, get a job, strive hard, working for low pay, working for no health insurance at a reduced rate so that they can have a chance at freedom, is something that we should be fighting for tooth and nail. Not finding a way to punish people that have been here on our account when we told them to come. Okay? So you said yourself, Charlie Kirk, that we invited the people here to come and work and to be part of our system. The problem is the onset violence is taking place. It's not time to blame immigrants for the violence and for the conditions of our country. It's time for us to stand up and fight and do the right thing. So Charlie Kirk, you're wrong on all accounts. and I've got you. Okay, so there are some things that we kind of align on, but we don't agree. You see, I don't agree with stemming out these people saying you can't have a sex change and we shouldn't sell that to. Like, if they want to do that, go ahead and fine. I don't want to peddle that to kids. Abortions, women that don't want to have kids, that's fine. But kids that get pregnant and are scared shouldn't have the access to say, I can just abort. Okay, immigration has been a part of this country since its inception. We immigrated here. We're more proud of our immigrants than any other country in the world. Let's not change that. Let's make sure that we stay strong on bringing people from other countries here to make it. Okay? And make sure that we don't let their riffraff ruin them like they did their own country. You see, that's what's happening. Their own country's in such turmoil that they had to come here. This is the battleground. Yeah, come here and let's see what turmoil is taking place, because it will stop. The evil will be stopped here. Just like slavery was stopped here. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And believe that this surely is the devil's house. And it is falling right now. I'd like to thank you for joining me on the Belfield Show. I'd like to appreciate each and every one of my fans for coming in and being here. I want to say I love you. God bless Charlie Kirk, his family, our political system, and you. Let me end this with prayer. Lord, I thank you for bringing us together once more, giving us the strength to act and fight and speak on the behalf of those that cannot speak. Lord, thank you for the strength and the peace that our country is overabound with, and give us the ability to help those that need it the most. And with great power comes great responsibility. Allow us to be responsible for our fellow man. and helped him in his greatest time of need. Lord, I thank you again, and I appreciate you for this time, this place, and this platform to speak. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And I want you to have a blessed day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and post. And rest in peace. Charlie Kirk.